Okay, so now what I'm going to do is go over a yokomen or a side strike. So we went over, the first video was a thrust, second video is an overhead cut. This video is going to go over a side cut, and that'll give you the 3 basic cuts in any Aikido Jo work. Now, sometimes you need to evade an attack, you need to strike from the side. And this is done when you're in the upper position, and if you haven't seen it, watch the video above for the shomen strike or the straight strike. And now we're going to move on to the side strike. So from this position, when you're up in this position, when I step forward, if my hip stays square to the center, then my elbows come forward and the strike comes straight down. But what I'm going to do in this strike is I am going to pull my left elbow back a little bit, and it's going to automatically change the trajectory of the end of my weapon, because if somebody's attacking this wrist and I bring it forward like a straight strike, you're going to get it hit or cut. So what you want to do is I am going to let this hip disappear, and then that automatically strikes from the side. Okay, so from this position, if I come straight forward, the weapon comes straight down. But a lot of times you need to attack from the side because you're trying to get your body out of the way of an attack. Okay, so you're going to attack from the side. So the same thing, instead of pushing both hands forward and striking straight down, you're going to let this left hand pull out of the way or off center line, and then that naturally makes an arc or a strike from the opposite side. Okay, one common mistake people make is from this point, if I'm going to attack from the side, they think I've got to come off the side of my head and strike from over here. And it's really the same strike. I'm coming from like a shomen position, but I'm going to push it straight off the top of my head. The thing that changes is the trajectory away from the top of my head. So instead of thinking I've got to come from the side or come from the side, then you get all unbalanced from one side. You want to stay balanced in the center, and then when I come, if I'm going to strike from the side, it's still off the side of my head. I'm just striking the side of their head possibly as I'm coming forward. Okay, so the same thing from here. If I'm going to strike the other side, I don't come off here and like I'm striking. From here, I'm going to turn my hips, and then I'm going to come straight off the top of my head to the strike on that side or the strike on this side. Now that's the basic yokomen from just a straight shomen position into a yokomen, or shomen position into a yokomen on this side. But really the nice thing about the Jo is it's really versatile because you can use either end for blocking or striking. So from this position, if you have somebody striking at your head, and say you want to block, you're going to do a block and then an attack. And so it makes more sense to do it in a arcing motion, or like a yokomen or a glancing blow. So basically the organization of your body, and I'm not going to show you the strike, but you're bringing it up here like this, and your center is going to be pushing forward into this elbow. That's the important part, is into this elbow. So from here, I'm in this position, okay? And now as I am pushing this elbow forward, I am drawing this weapon around my head into that position. Or I'm going from this side, I'm going to do the same thing. So I'm going to push forward, and then this is going to come around to this side, okay, as I swing. So I'm going to start in this position, I'm going to end up in this position, and I'm going to actually switch from this side of the Jo to the other side of the Jo. So I'm going to leave my hand in the center, and I'm going to come forward with my center, pressure center forward. My elbow, again, is pushing forward, and then I am going to bring this back hand towards this front hand, okay? And I'm going to keep that all within my center, and I'm going to push forward, and then I'm going to grab it at some point because I want to have a good hold on this, and then I'm going to let, as this hip comes back, it's going to pull this elbow back, which is going to turn the weapon, and then from this position, I'm going to push this elbow forward and then strike at my target. So if I'm going to go back and forth, I'm going to go into this position, elbow pointing forward. I'm going to come forward, not switch, go to this other side, okay? Or I'm going to start from this position. I'm going to have my power in my elbow going forward, and then as it turns, then I'm going to have this power in this elbow, and then grab the end of it and extend out forward. Okay? So from front to back, it looks like this. From this position, I'm going to get in this position. My elbow is pointing forward, so I'm going to push this hand forward and then turn. My elbow's pushing forward. As this turns, I'm going to grab the end and a strike. Okay? Here, I'm not going to spin. I'm just going to come forward and strike. Okay? Again, my hips are behind this weapon the whole time. So here, push. Hips push forward. They don't pull. They don't pull and go like this. They push. Here, my hips turn and strike. Here, push, push, and strike. Okay, another variation on this that a lot of people like to do is when you're coming forward with this right hand, so my right hand comes forward, my power is coming forward, my center power, then I bring my hands together and let them pass over the weapon. So you're here, this hand comes straight forward. As this hand comes forward, my hips push, and instead of bringing my hand way out here, I'm just going to pass my hands in my center. So I'm going to push this center forward, push, and then as my center rotates, my weapon rotates, and I just strike out there. Again, I'm not pulling the weapon, I'm pushing the weapon the whole time. So then I can do the same thing. I can push towards the end of the weapon, twist, keep a hold of it, because I don't want to some people let go and come down to here, but I don't think that's a good idea. I think you should stay on the weapon, and then a strike. So here, I'm going to push forward, and then my hand is going to come to the side as I strike, extending out with my entire power of my body. So from here and here, strike. Okay, so what I'm going to do is go over the mistakes that people make with the yokomen, because it's very difficult to do when you're switching hands. So the first mistake is when I release and I have all this time and then I try to grab the weapon at the end, I wouldn't suggest that. I'm suggesting power this left hand forward and then let this hand slide past the right hand. So in this position, striking that direction, and then the same thing, coming forward and then let it pass and then strike. Now the other thing is they don't strike with your hips. So what they do is they pull their hips back and strike by pulling your power away from your weapon. So in this, you have to extend your power forward, so your power is always going forward direction and not pulling this way, not pulling. You want your power to be pushing into the weapon, your power pushing into the weapon.